So the first day of the Cheltenham Festival, the feature race is the Champion Hurdle, and you will have a live contender in Global Citizen. How excited are you?
It's great, to be honest. It's actually, although we've obviously had Grade 1 winners and festival runners and winners and all the rest of it, it's our first runner in one of the blue ribbon events. And the Champion Hurdle's always been a race which has been very exciting to watch. It was very exciting to be a small part of when I was at Nicky's, and now to have our first runner of it in our own right it'll be a great feeling, and I'm hoping for a good run.
And he won at Haydock in really good style in a Grade 2 last time, really improving from his run at Kempton. Why do you think he improved so much?
He just wasn't quite right that day at Kempton. He was just doing too much the whole time. He hung very badly. We chucked him in a bone scan, found a little bit of heat in his hock that we medicated, and that seems to put him back on the straight and narrow. And yeah, he was very good that day at Haydock. To be fair, he only did really what he had to do, but he settled better, jumped very well, and he is a progressive horse, but he's also a horse that I always thought would be good enough to get to this level, to be competitive at holding his own, at least in graded 2 miles hurdles, and that point has been proven. And whatever happens in Champion Hurdle will be great, but next season it'll be all guns towards novice chasing, which is very exciting.
And the race looks probably the race of the festival. You've got Bouvedere, Apples Jade, Lorena, to name but a few. It's probably going to be run at a frantic pace. Do you think you might be able to get a lead, which has been rare for him so far in his career?
I hope so. We certainly won't be intending on making it. He is a very free-going sort, but he's not out of control. But if they go a decent gallop and he settles off that pace, then he could be really quite exciting. So, yeah, I think if they went a real good gallop and we came down the hill in contention, then it'd be exciting to see what he could do from turning in. And
you mentioned that anything he does this year will perhaps be a bonus, with novice chasing his ultimate aim.
Yeah, he actually won a 3 mile point to point as a 5-year-old, and we all know what sort of how good he is jumping, and he's a horse that we took down to the school there the other day and popped him over a big oxer over show jump, and he jumped it beautifully, like he hadn't been hurdling all year. So I think he's going to take to chasing very well, and yeah, that'll be hopefully his future.
And elsewhere on the first day, Le Broy has a couple of options.
Yeah, he does. He actually has 3 options for the whole meeting, but the Ultima on the first day and the National Hunt Chase are 2 very live ones. I think he stays all day. He wasn't right when he ran last time at Haydock. Apart from that, it was a pretty perfect season, winning only the once, but great course form at Cheltenham. He's rated 145, and he's got a great attitude and is in fabulous form with himself since the Haydock run. He's really come back to his best, and hopefully he takes a lot of work, so there'll be a couple more big days ahead of him work-wise between now and then. But if he gets there in fine form, then he'll run a big race wherever he goes, because for a novice he just does jump brilliantly. And whether we go 4 mile, or the reason I'm even entertaining something like the Ultima is because I think, to be honest, he's as good a jumper as we've got nearly in the yard over a fence, so it doesn't matter whether he's a novice or not. I think he'd be well up to handling his own in that sort of race.
Do you think perhaps the 4 mile National Hunt Chase might be dependent on who you may be able to get on board?
Yeah, to a certain level. The 4 miler is a sort of a step into the unknown, and I have no reason to believe that he wouldn't see out the trip. And off the rating he'd be one of the higher rated horses in the race. So, it's by no means an option that we won't explore yet, but we'll just see. The 4 mile is turning more and more into a really quite a classy race. A lot of very nice horses have in the last few years have run in it and run very well. So, Ed Wolf, he ran, obviously was unlucky and didn't stand on his feet that day, but then went and won the Irish Gold Cup. So there's plenty of options. So if it doesn't look like a future Gold Cup, then I might be tempted, but otherwise we'd probably go to the handicap.
And on day 2, the first race is the Ballymore Hurdle, and you've got the very exciting Bright Forecast entered. He was second behind Mr. Fisher at Haydock last time. How has he been since then?
Very well. This will be his last run of the season. He's a horse that probably wouldn't take a lot of work between his races. He was a nice surprise, really. We knew he was a nice horse, but it was a nice surprise to see him win at Newbury, and expected it at Leicester. And then he did everything wrong, really, hanging off the final bit, off the home turn there with the circuit to go, and missed one or two. And ran a very credible race over 2 miles on a very tight track. So I think the step up in Trip will help him massively. I genuinely think he's worth his place. He's very much an improving horse. Again, very much next season's horse, but I think he is capable of running a big race, and at a lively price, he could be quite a lot of fun.
Excellent. And Kildesart will go for the first race on day 3, the JLT, a race that perhaps looks like it could cut up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, sat here right now, nobody quite knows where everyone's going to go, but obviously there's a couple at the head of the market, one of which is Deffy of Philip Hobbs's, and with Le Richebourg now coming out, who knows where he'll go. But our job is to have our horses as well as we can, and if they all line up in that race, I still think he's a horse with a profile of an improving novice, really. You know, he just got beaten at Ascot first time out, and then he won nicely in a graduation at Ascot thereafter, and then obviously won his prep race on trials day at Cheltenham. So, and at Cheltenham, it just, for a horse that I hope the track would work out for, it looked like he really enjoyed it. You know, he slightly raced almost just slightly behind the bridle for a circuit, and then coming down the hill just locked on and did it quite nicely. Hence the reason we got stung more than I hoped in the handicap, and that knocks out the Close brothers. But he's rated 147 and the favourites are only 151. So there's £4 we've got to find, which really isn't that vast a gulf. And I think he's probably our best chance of the week, you know, of a winner.
Excellent. And then lastly, Nadatak, who won the Grade 2 up at Doncaster, a race you've enjoyed before with Barters Hill by 22 lengths, which I think took you a bit by surprise, but he looks to be a live chance if he does head to Cheltenham.
That race was a muddling old race, not many runners. What happened, I'm not sure, but he won very well. Must have fallen apart to some extent, I think. He is a nice horse. He is a relentless galloper. He is suited by 3 miles. Whether or not he's suited by Cheltenham and the undulations of Cheltenham, I'm not sure, and that's the nag in the back of my mind about whether we go or not. Funnily enough, if the ground started to get a bit quicker towards the end of the week, then that would probably encourage me, because he's ex-flat horse and seems to handle the quicker ground quite well. He certainly wouldn't want to be rolling around there on soft ground. He would be very well suited to the 3 miler at probably Aintree, and he's come out of the race really well. He's a nice horse, and I don't think you'd know where the bottom of this lad is if he gets into a rhythm. If he doesn't get into a rhythm, I don't think you've at this stage in his career, he's a very big, almost ungainly type, that's considering he's come from the flat, and that's not to do him an injustice. He's a horse with a big engine and hopefully a bright future, and I actually think he'll be a lot better over a fence because more substantial. But he jumped well enough, if a little slow, at Doncaster, and there's every chance. Put it this way, he'll be trained to run at Cheltenham, and then if I think better of it nearer the time, then we'll just save him for Aintree.